Thank you everybody here for listening here for the next 2 hours to tell you about the specialties on to handle natural flammable refrigerants and how we do it in Austria in education. So if you think of flammable refrigerants, let's think of all the dangerousness of those units have. And the first thing is, if we look at the flammable triangle, you see we need oxygen, we need heat, and we need fuel. So if to handle those things, we have to take care that one of those things is missing, so we don't get a flammable area. So the basic rules is to concentrate on the concentration, to monitor it, to ventilate the working area, and to eliminate ignition sources. That brings us to all the personal protection systems that we already know, for example, a helmet, gloves, or anything like that. But it is important to train blue-collar workers how to use a personal detector. A personal gas detector is, in our point of view, one really important thing, one thing that should be a personal protective system in the future. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you look here at this example on a refrigerant system, is where might be explosive zones, where might be a zone 2. And if you look here around the service valves, there might be a zone 2 and maybe explosive zone. So it's to teach the people, okay, take care, there might be an explosive zone surrounding there. The other thing is, if you look at the whole unit, for example, a split air conditioning system or a chiller, then you have a space around it where also might be this zone 2. So how to prevent that there would be an ignition source there? Yeah, there are quite a lot of things. For example, putting a fence out of it. But it's also to take care of, for example, manholes or stairs or anything like that. This is not only important for the blue-collar workers, it's also important that those guys who sell those units, that they know about this, that they know, okay, if there are, for example, stairs or if there is a manhole surrounding it, then I have to take care of the unit. And also, if people are working with those things, there are special tools that have to be used. For example, a vacuum pump. Normally, you just connect the vacuum pump to your system and you don't take care of all the refrigerant that goes outside because it's non-flammable. With working with hydrocarbons, it would be quite important to know that there is such a pipe connection to the thing, and you have to put it to the outside, just to don't get an explosive area where you're working it. The other thing is, yeah, just to have a ventilation system, just to don't get an explosive zone there. And the next thing is recovery machines. Recovery machines are quite difficult to know. It's quite difficult to get them for A3 refrigerants. But in this example, this is accepted for A3 because it has a ventilator inside, so it blows the air around it, so you don't get an explosive area around it. So these are the things that's kept in mind when teaching, when training workers. But how to do such training? In the last year, everybody knows Corona and all of the things we have to do. We invented some, let's say, asynchronous learning. We created a video platform where you can, the guys can watch videos, teaching videos, videos from lessons that we already took. So they can look at videos at the time where the guys suits them to watch those videos. So that's one big thing. The other thing is we do some really old school things like books. People are still, it's incredible, but people are still reading those things, a few of them. And we did a perfect one on flammable refrigerants. This is asynchronous learning. This is what people can do for themselves. But we also recognized that it's really important to get in contact with the people. You can do that regularly, for example, via online meetings. That's okay. That's just to keep them in mind and say, okay, you have to look at the videos and you have to learn things. But the really, really important thing is to do hands-on training. And with this hands-on training, even if you do theoretical things, it's also really, really important to say everything with a practical focus. And if you keep all this in mind, dealing with flammable natural refrigerants is not an issue. I hope I kept in time, Marco, just as you want to. And I think I'd like now to hand over to the next speaker.